All right, here we go. We have Psycho Realms, Sick Jacken in the building.
Yes, sir.
What's good, man?
Yeah, right here, chilling.
Well, let me just say before I start, this is actually kind of a special interview for me because when I started as a DJ back in 2000, my very first mixtape I ever put out was called Soul Assassination, which was all Cypress Hill, Psycho Realm, Funk Dubious, like all my favorite shit, because like the movement that you guys had during that time was just so important to me, and me being such a lover of hip hop, and I just want to say that literally my first ever project when I first started DJing had your stuff all over it.
I appreciate you for that, bro.
Yeah, man, big fan.
Yeah, man.
So let's go ahead and start in the beginning. This is our first time actually speaking. There's actually not even a lot of interviews of you out there.
Yeah, no, there ain't.
There ain't.
Yeah.
There ain't. So we're going.
I'm like Prince. I'm just not as purple, you know.
Okay.
But nah, we were actually one of the last people to join Soul Assassins, that movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
B-Real signed us. B-Real signed the Hooligans, Alchemist, and Scotty Khan,
Right.
Muggs signed everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
Muggs ended up signing our producer, which is why I ended up producing, because he was buying all the beats up, you know what I mean? And I ended up but I'm grateful because that's why I started making beats, right?
Yeah.
And I came out with what is now considered the Psycho Realm sound.
No doubt.
But even then, man, like, I'm very grateful to B-Real and Muggs and, Sand, like, that whole movement they created was incredible. But we've never been the type to just write off of somebody else. We wanted to contribute something, So me and my brother we were always like, we want to bring something to the table, and we did,
Yeah, and here we are.
And
So
here we are.
so let's go ahead and start in the very beginning. So you grew up in the Pico Union District
Yes, sir.
in central LA,
Downtown Los Angeles, yeah.
downtown Los Angeles.
The heart of the city.
Yeah. What was that like at that time? Because you're talking about 70s, 80s.
Talking about, yeah. You're talking about, late 70s or 80s, the whole decade, 90s. It was war, It was from graffiti and tagging to football teams becoming gangs and gangs coming in. I lived across the street from a park, in an apartment building, so we had gangs constantly coming and trying to take over that territory, So
Okay.
I grew up in a violent environment, and you could hear it in our music.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about LA, you talk about the whole Sureño thing that happens over there.
You can't talk about that.
We can't talk about that?
Well, I mean, no, go ahead, but
Okay.
I haven't heard the whole question.
I mean, when you talk about what the gang situation was at that time, what do you think made it different than what you see these days?
It was Lord of the Flies back then.
Really?
Yeah, it was kids putting in work, I grew up in a district that was full of immigrants, right? So everybody was working, trying to make a living, trying to survive, A lot of dads weren't around.
Your dad
My dad, lucky for me, was around.
was around.
He's a beautiful man, yeah. And is a beautiful man because he's still alive. But, bro, it's Lord of the Flies, like kids, bro. Like kids putting in work, you know what I'm saying? And these kids nowadays don't have an ounce of that kind of heart or nutsack to do that kind of shit,
So you're Mexican yourself?
Yes, sir.
Well, both sides of the family?
My
Okay.
parents are from Mazatlan, Sinaloa, both of them, yeah.
Okay, so they came over as immigrants?
Yeah, my dad first, and then he kidnapped my mom. My man said kidnap because I don't want to get him arrested, but he married my mom and brought her over. Yeah.
Okay. So you have immigrant parents,
Yeah.
and growing up in that area, I assumed they were struggling, and trying to support the family, it was you, your brother, and anybody else?
My dad, it was me and my brother Duke, my older brother, who's the other half of Psycho Realm, when we were in apartment 8, and the family in apartment 10 moved out because the little girl that lived there passed away, so they left. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. We ended up moving there. The little girl's spirit was still there when we lived there, and my other 2 little brothers were there.
Okay, so you're talking about 2 immigrant parents trying to support 4 kids.
Yeah, well, my dad was. My mom was a homemaker.
A homemaker, so you're talking
Yeah,
about one
they're old
person.
school. My parents are old school, bro. Like,
Yeah.
My dad's old school male chauvinist Mexican.
Okay.
I don't want to get into a story because it's a movie, but yeah. So my dad came over here when he was 15, bro. He came to TJ. Was pretty much raised by his mom's brother, my tío Roberto. Learned how to paint cars. My dad was a master painter, bro.
Oh, okay.
So he was going from TJ to San Diego before the borders weren't so strict,
Okay,
Shout out to Donald Trump, but yeah.
So painting like low riders in terms of like fancy paint jobs?
Cars. My dad always went with Cadillac or like companies because he wanted to make his money. People that paint their cars like lowriders, they don't want to break bread.
Yeah,
So he never got into it. But he always painted. My dad always had nice cars.